So good morning everyone. Everyone kindly switch on your videos. Yes, everyone switch on your videos. Yes, everyone switch on your videos. Yes, the rest. Please switch on your videos. Okay, so today we'll start. Okay, about dengue. Okay. Anyone have any specific doubts regarding dengue, or you want me to repeat the whole topic? Any specific doubts like regarding the signs and symptoms or something, or you want me to repeat everything once? Okay, so I'll repeat again once. Okay, so you guys, when you have doubt, you ask me. Okay, if regarding any specific topics. So what is dengue? Dengue is an arthropod borne infection, means it is transmitted by this particular group of insects which are known as arthropod. And uh, what insects? Here it is the mosquitoes. Okay, and dengue virus are the arbovirus. Okay, like yesterday I told you that polio virus are RNA virus. So similarly dengue virus also belongs to a particular category which are known as the arbovirus, which are capable of infecting humans. Okay, and then dengue, the fever that you get from dengue, that is most common. And why the cases of dengue have been rising? Because of the growing population, poor housing condition, poor sanitation, okay, overcrowding in some areas. So because of all these reasons, the dengue, it is spreading and it is increasing day by day. And the places where you get this solid waste, where there can be accumulation of water, so the mosquito finds it a favorable, it finds it as a favorable environment to lay eggs. Okay, and then as it reproduces more, the cases of dengue also rises. And this dengue mosquito has a specific characteristic, that this dengue mosquitoes, they bite during the daytime hours. Okay, particularly during the hours of dawn and dusk. Then comes the infectious agent. Infectious agent are the arbovirus, that is the category. And then if you name the virus, the name of the virus is denV. Okay, and it has 4 serotypes. Okay, the polio virus, remember the polio virus, it had 3 serotypes, and the dengue virus, it has got 4 serotypes. Okay, now incubation period, you all know about the incubation period, right? So what is incubation period? I have talked about this several times. What is incubation period? Yes, someone answer. Anyone can say what is incubation period? Time duration. Okay. Anyone else wants to add up something? Incubation period. Period between catching up disease and symptoms. Okay, so incubation period is the time when the virus or the infectious organism enters your body. Okay, it is the time duration since when the infectious organism has entered your body till the time you show the symptoms. So the period, the gap in between that is known as your incubation period. Okay, so the time from when something enters your body, that is the infectious organism or the pathogen. So suppose it has entered today and you are showing the signs and symptoms after like 1 week. So 1 week is the incubation period. Okay, that is the time the virus when or any infectious organism when it enters your body, and it requires some time to become infective, to multiply, to invade the body's overall system, and after that only you will show the signs and symptoms. So this period in between, okay, since when the pathogen has entered your body till the time you show the signs and symptom is the incubation period. Okay, so now in case of your dengue, so everywhere wherever you read, you got only one incubation period, right? There was only one incubation period, but in case of your dengue there are two incubation period. Okay, one which you say as the extrinsic incubation period, the other which you call the intrinsic excubation period. Okay, so what is extrinsic incubation period? It is the incubation period between the time when a mosquito, okay, when a mosquito it takes the blood from an individual. Okay, it takes the blood from the individual and till the time when the mosquito becomes infectious. Okay, here both the mosquito can also become infected as well as the human will also become infected. So here when infected mosquito bites a human being, the human being gets infected. Again after some point of time, when another mosquito bites the infected human being, that mosquito also gets infected. Okay, you're getting me? So when you are saying that extrinsic incubation period, so it is the time when the mosquito it bites a human being, and suppose the mosquito was not infected before, and then when it bites a human being who is infected, after that the time taken by the mosquito to become infective, that is called the incubation period. Okay, that is the extrinsic incubation period here, and it is considered to be usually like 8 to 10 days. Next comes your intrinsic incubation period. So it is the time when a infected mosquito bites a human being, and after that the time taken by that human being to show the signs and symptoms, that is your intrinsic incubation period. Okay, so extrinsic incubation period is for the mosquito, intrinsic incubation period is for the human being, and this lasts for about like 3 to 10 days. Clear extrinsic and intrinsic incubation period, or you want me to repeat? Clear. The rest, is it clear, or you want me to repeat? Clear. Okay, So next comes your age factor. Okay, so age factor in the Asian countries, the children who are below like 15 years of age, they are considered to be more prone. And then in countries of America, it is considered that like the, everyone of every age are prone to get the disease, although death in the children are more common. The next comes your sex differences, and studies have shown that males are more prone to get affected than female. Okay, and this may be this has been attributed to the socio-economic differences. Okay, next comes the reservoir of infection. So both men and mosquito are the reservoir of infection. And what mosquito? Here it is the Aedes mosquito. Okay, maybe Aedes aegypti or Aedes albopictus. This both. These are the group of mosquito that transmit this dengue infection. Aedes aegypti, which affects to a greater extent, and Aedes albopictus, which affects to a lesser extent. Next comes the mode of transmission. Mode of transmission is men, mosquito, men. Okay, as I told you, means when an infected mosquito, here it is the Aedes mosquito, when it bites an infected person, when the infected person is in the state of viremia. Now what is viremia? Anyone, what is viremia? Okay. Rest. What is viremia? Yes, the rest wants to add up something. Virus in bloodstream. Others? Virus in bloodstream. Okay, good. It is viremia means virus in the bloodstream. Okay, so when a human being is in the state of viremia, means when that particular individual or the particular human being is in the state where the virus is in his blood. Okay, when the virus is circulating in his blood, so when he is in that state, and when the mosquito, suppose an uninfected mosquito, it bites the infected individual, so now the mosquito got affected. Okay, so after the mosquito got infected, so it will get infected after the extrinsic incubation period, that is it has bitten the person who was infected. Okay, then after the extrinsic incubation period, after that period of time, how much was the extrinsic incubation period that I told you? It was 8 to 10 days. Okay, so after that period, after like 8 to 10 days after biting the infected individual, the mosquito now also got infected, suppose after 8 to 10 days. Okay, and this mosquito, it remains infected till its death. Okay, and after it remains infected till its death, after that, till its death, it can spread the infection to anyone, whoever it bites. Okay, so again, after the intrinsic incubation period in the human being, that is after a period of like 3 to 10 days, again another human being will get infected, and then this cycle continues. Let me check if I have a picture. Wait. Okay, this. Okay, first it is considered that it is a mosquito, which is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So the mosquito was initially not infected, and then it comes and bites a human being, okay, who is an infected individual, and then the mosquito, after the extrinsic incubation period, that is after a period of 8 to 10 days, the mosquito also gets infected. Now when the mosquito, and it remains infected till its death. Okay, now when this mosquito, it goes and bites some other individual, so maybe when it bites a vaccinated individual, okay, so that individual remains healthy, which you can see on your right side, that individual remains healthy, and on the left you can see that it, when it goes and bites an unvaccinated individual, then that individual also gets affected, and after that this individual now got infected. So when another mosquito comes and bite this individual, again there will be mass transmission. Okay, so this is how it is transmitted. The transmission cycle is men, mosquito, men. Clear? The mode of transmission? Yes, okay. So next comes your risk factors. So what are risk factors? Factors that increase your risk of getting the disease. So these are the risk factors. So what are the risk factors for dengue? It is like traveling during the rainy season, because as I told you, rainy season there will be poor sanitation already. Okay, so because of the poor sanitation, and then there will be coagulation of water. Okay, even when there will be these dumping grounds, there will be coagulation of water, which will be a favorable condition for the mosquito to breed. Okay, so traveling during the rainy season, then in the high risk countries, okay, in the slum areas, residing in those slum areas, in areas of poor sanitation, and if one has have like been infected by dengue before, so it increases the risk of getting the infection. Then infants and elderly, obese people, pregnancy, okay, women who are in their menstrual cycle, then some diseases such as your thalassemia, diabetes, hypertension, congenital heart disease. So all these things, they increase the risk of your getting the infection, because ultimately they suppress your immune system, and when your immune system is suppressed, so you are prone to get any disease very easily. And when you are in areas of overcrowding and poor sanitation, especially in the rainy season, so this increases your risk of getting the infection. Now if we talk about the signs and symptoms of dengue, so dengue, it has been divided into 3 stages clinically. Okay, depending upon the signs and symptoms, there are 3 stages. So one is your classical dengue fever, or which we also call as the breakbone fever. Second is your dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock. Third is your dengue hemorrhagic fever with shock, or you call it the dengue shock. Okay, so first one, which is the classical dengue fever. So there is this, you get all the symptoms of high fever, okay, intense headache, then you will have muscle pain, then there is this retroorbital pain, which is pain at the back of your eye, okay, extreme weakness, then loss of appetite. So what is loss of appetite known as? What is the word for loss of appetite? Means in medical terminology, what is loss of appetite known as? Loss of appetite is layman term. So in medical terminology, what is loss of appetite? Yes, anyone? Anorexia. Correct. Good. It is anorexia. Okay. So loss of appetite is anorexia. Then some people might also get some skin eruptions. So that is, rashes and skin eruptions can be seen in like 80% of the people. So what are the signs and symptoms you get in breakbone fever or classical dengue fever? Is fever, headache, muscle weakness, okay, loss of appetite. That is the generally when you feel unwell, whatever symptoms you get. Okay, so all these things you get here in the dengue classical fever. And let me tell you, fever is not a disease. Okay, fever is always an alarming sign, and that is why some people consider fever as a friend. Okay, fever can be considered as a friend and not an enemy. Why? Because whenever you get fever, just remember that there is something wrong in your body. Okay, so that is an alarm that you get from your body, that there is something wrong, something has entered your body, and because of that you are getting the fever. Okay, some foreign particles has entered your body, because of which you are developing fever. And if you have noticed, you will never develop fever alone. Okay, along with fever, maybe you will have cough and cold, or you will have abdominal pain, something will be related to it. Or even if you have not experienced anything related to it, there will be something underlying. Okay, fever always doesn't occur alone. Okay, so there has to be some underlying conditions to have fever. So here, when the dengue virus has entered your body, so now you get the fever, because there is this foreign pathogen that has entered your body. Next comes your dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock. Okay, so usually you get this when like you are infected by more than one serotype. Okay, and let me tell you, when you are like infected by, there are 4 serotypes, right? So when you are infected by one serotype, so it doesn't provide you immunity against the other serotypes. Okay, together it provide immunity, means full immunity against that particular serotype, and only partial immunity against the other serotype. Suppose you are infected by den V1. Okay, so now you will have full immunity against den V1, but partial immunity against den V2, 3 and 4. Okay, then next is your dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock. So when you are infected by like more than one serotype, okay, so in that case you will get this dengue hemorrhagic shock. Sorry, fever without shock. Okay, without shock and with shock, both these two you will get only when you are infected by more than one serotype. Then what are the signs and symptoms that you see here? These are maybe some tiny red spots will develop under your skin, because there is bleeding under the skin. Okay, so you will see these tiny red spots, along with it there will be fever, then there will be nasal bleeding. So what is the word for nasal bleeding? That is the medical terminology for nasal bleeding. Epistexia. Okay, correct, good, it is epistexia. Okay, and then you will get melena. What is melena? Dark stool. Okay, dark stool, good, it is dark stool. What is hematemesis? Hematemesis. Blood vomit. Okay, good. So hematemesis is blood vomit. Okay, and epistexis is nasal bleeding, then gum bleeding. All these things, maybe most of the things related to bleeding you will get. Why? Because there is plasma leakage. Okay, there is plasma leakage in this stage. So these signs and symptoms of bleeding, gum bleeding, nose bleeding, okay, bleeding under the skin where you see the tiny red spots, hematemesis, which is blood vomit. So all these things you will get to see in dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock, and also your platelet count that comes down. And usually the platelet, they help in your uh, what to say, the coagulation. Okay, coagulation means the stopping of the bleeding. Now when the platelet count it comes down, so ultimately the bleeding will also increase. Okay, and you will get to see abnormal hemostasis. Hemostasis means stopping. What is hemostasis? Tell me. What is hemostasis? Blood and coughing. Anyone else? Okay, hemostasis means stopping of the blood flow. Okay, if you break the word hemo and stasis, hemo means blood and stasis means stop or stagnant, right? So here you will get abnormal hemostasis. Why? Because the platelet count, it comes down, and platelet, they help in your blood clot or the coagulation. Okay, so whenever you get a cut in your body, maybe, so when you get a cut, so there is bleeding, right? And after some point of time, what happens? The bleeding, it stops, right? You do not bleed for an eternity, right? The bleeding, it stops. Why? Because we have some coagulation factor in our body. These things, the platelet and these things, they help in coagulation or stopping the blood flow. Okay, so when there is stopping of the blood flow, that is known as hemostasis. Hemo means blood, stasis means stagnant or stop. So hemostasis means stopping of the blood flow. So this will become abnormal. So because of that, you will get to see all these signs and symptoms of bleeding, maybe bleeding under the skin, gum bleeding, and all these things. Okay, clear everyone? Okay, and next is your dengue hemorrhagic fever with shock. So that is the dengue shock syndrome, where you will get all the above features, that is fever and everything along with it. Whatever you saw in that dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock, all these things will be present. Along with it, you will get a shock, okay, which is like there will be rapid and weak pulse, and then your BP will also come down, and you will get your cold extremities. Cold extremities means cold hand and feet, and the patient also becomes restless. So this you will see in dengue shock syndrome. And apart from it, if you go for laboratory diagnosis, there will be some lab tests, such as maybe the blood test, okay, then antigen detection test, RT-PCR, ELISA test, which is the enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, okay, virus isolation. So these are some laboratory diagnosis that you do for dengue, and no specific medications have been developed for dengue till now, and it is usually self-healing, that is, it heals by itself. What you need to do is you need to focus on the signs and symptoms. Okay, plenty of rest and fluid intake, that means water intake. The hydration needs to be proper, and the person also needs to take proper rest. And tablets such as aspirin and ibuprofen, these are not recommended. If you are getting fever, better to take paracetamol. Okay, and then rehydration therapy, that is, that I told you, with water obviously you will do. Other than that, you can go for ORS, which is the oral one. Okay, ORS, I don't mean the one which comes in the Tetra Pak, the one which is in powdered form, that is the WHO formula. Okay, so that is more effective. So if you go for ORS, like, you can go for oral, or IV rehydration therapy can also be given. And if like there is pain, then analgesia or pain relievers, this can be given for pain management. Okay, so you do not have such specific medication for dengue. All you can do is symptomatic management. So whatever signs and symptoms you are getting, you have to manage it. If you are getting fever, you will manage the fever. If there is pain, you will manage the pain. So it will go on like that. Okay, so how will you prevent? You all know that if you wear like loose fitting clothes, then it will not be easy for the mosquito to bite you. Okay, using mosquito net, do not going out during the hours of dawn and dusk. Okay, using mosquito repellents. Okay, when you keep your surroundings clean and you prevent the accumulation of water, so all these things will help, okay, to prevent the dengue. And then for vaccination, like, no effective vaccine have been discovered till now. So, and if you go through your books, you will find that no vaccine have been found till now. If you go through the book, that is the Park textbook, but if you search for it in the internet, you will get to see that some vaccines such as Dengvaxia, okay, so this can be used for the people who are in the age limit of 9 to 45 years. For them it can be used. So like, again, it has got a drawback that this vaccine can only be given to people who have been infected with dengue before. Okay, not to the person who are getting new infections. To the person who have got infection once and then they are getting after that, you can give the vaccination, but not to the ones to like who are getting newly infected, or not to the ones who haven't developed dengue till now, because it might show some like signs and symptoms. Okay, so you all know that after getting vaccines we get some signs and symptoms. Why? Because vaccine is ultimately the virus, the weakened virus or the kill virus that enters our body. So dengue vaccine is not that much effective. India is also developing a vaccine of its own, which is a tetravalent dengue vaccine. Why tetravalent? Because there are 4 serotypes, right? Tetra means 4 and there are 4 serotypes of the dengue virus. So that vaccine that India is developing, the name of it is DSV-4. And then again 2 live vaccines are also in phase 3 trial, but still the efficacy have not been proven till now. Okay, so these vaccines are not very widely used because of their drawbacks. Okay, clear? Clear dengue? Okay, so dengue is a dash infection. Bacterial, fungal, arthropod borne, or all of the above. Bacterial, fungal, arthropod borne, or all of the above. Arthropod borne. The rest? Arthropod borne. Okay, correct. It is arthropod borne. Okay, good. It is arthropod borne. Then dengue is a dash disease. Viral, fungal, bacterial, protozoal. Viral. Okay, the rest? Viral, correct. Good. Then in which hours of the daytime you are more prone to get the dengue? No options here, you tell me the answer. In which hours of the daytime you are more prone to get dengue? Dawn and dusk. Okay, good. It is dawn and dusk. Then how many serotypes the dengue virus has? 4. Okay, correct. Good. It is 4 serotypes. Next, someone tell me what is extrinsic incubation period? Yes, anyone? What is the extrinsic incubation period? Between the time when a mosquito takes a viremic blood meal and time when that mosquito become infected. Yes, anyone else? To develop signs and symptoms. Again? Anyone else? Okay, so yes, Dristelina, you are correct. It is the time when the mosquito takes the viremic blood meal till the time when the mosquito become infected. Okay, and Jugal, what you are saying is the intrinsic incubation period. Okay, so extrinsic is the one when the mosquito it bites a infected individual till the time the mosquito becomes infected. So that is the extrinsic incubation period. Intrinsic incubation period is when the mosquito bites you and you till the time the human being show the signs and symptoms. That is the intrinsic incubation period. Okay, so if I say extrinsic, it is related to the mosquito. If I say intrinsic, it is related to the human being. Clear, everyone? Okay, so how much is the intrinsic incubation period? 3 to 10. Others? Yes, the intrinsic incubation period is 3 to 10 days. Okay, and the extrinsic incubation period is 8 to 10 days. Then which ones are males or female who are more prone to get the dengue infection, male or female, and why? Males. Why males? Why males? Socioeconomic differences. Yes, good. It is attributed to the socioeconomic differences. Okay. Then what is the name of the mosquito that causes dengue? What is the name of the mosquito that causes dengue? Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Yes, correct. It is Aedes aegypti which causes the infection to a greater extent and Aedes albopictus which causes it to a lesser extent. So if you are infected by one serotype of the dengue virus, so which one are you more prone to develop? Classical dengue fever, dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock, or dengue hemorrhagic fever with shock, or all of the above? If you are infected by one serotype. Classical dengue fever. Yes, the rest? Yes, you all are correct. Okay, it is the classical dengue fever, and if you are infected by more than one serotype, then you are more prone to develop the dengue hemorrhagic fever with or without shock, both. Okay. So, what does dengue treatment focus on? What does dengue treatment focus on? Tell me, no options here. You just tell me what does dengue treatment focuses on. Symptomatic and supportive management. Yes, correct. Okay, it is the symptomatic and the supportive management. When is National Dengue Day? National Dengue Day. 16th May. Okay, correct. It is 16 May. Then to whom the Dengvexia can be given? People who are in the age group of like 10 to 40 years, who are in the age group of 5 to 45 years, 9 to 45, or 40 to 45. 9 to 45. Okay, good. It is 9 to 45. So this was all about dengue. So tomorrow what we will do is, till now I have discussed about your smallpox, means in revision, smallpox, chickenpox, polio and dengue, right? So you all read these four, okay? So for the other chapters, or for like health and disease, we'll do it some other day. And regarding your malaria and rabies, that we'll discuss in the next week. So tomorrow what you do is you read these four: smallpox, chickenpox, dengue and polio. Okay, only this four, and then we will discuss like questions. I'll ask questions from maybe any topic, okay, to anyone. Okay, you just read it. It will be easy only like this, so don't worry, you just read it, so in that way your concepts will be clear. Okay, go through these four topics. Clear, everyone? Okay. Okay then, and this way, no, if you attend the revision classes, it will be good for you. You can remember the questions, and then you don't need to read it separately again before the exams. Okay, so if you remember in this way, it will be easier for you in the exams. So read these four topics. We will discuss them tomorrow again. Okay, the question and answers. So CR, you send me the attendance and we'll wind up the class now.